Information, inspiration, motivation. You're now listening to the Going North podcast, where you're going to get all three of those things and more. I'm your host, author, speaker, and book enthusiast, Dom Brightman. Every Monday and Thursday, you're going to hear the voice of a different author sharing their stories of how they had to overcome some trials in life to become the best versions of themselves, publish their work, and get the most out of life, and to help you get the most out of your life. And today on the Going North podcast, we have, you guessed it, another author, but not just any author. This wonderful lady has been endorsed by motivational powerhouses Eric Thomas and Lisa Nichols. This wonderful lady has been featured on multiple platforms such as the Huffington Post, the Guardian, the British Blacklist, and countless other avenues as well. She is a multiple time author, a podcast host, and she's got a book tour coming up that's going to teach you how to master your mindset. This wonderful lady right here is doing some magical things right now. When you hear the words Black Power, you're going to see a picture of this woman right here. And you're probably wondering who the heck I'm talking about. I'm talking about the wonderful Dr. Ava Brown. How are you today, ma'am?
Hi, Dom. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fabulous indeed. I'm enjoying the chocolate vibe we got going on right here. We got the brown and we got the chocolate podcast guy, so this is gonna be perfect.
Brown sugar, babe. Brown sugar, brown sugar, brown sugar.
Oh, I'm adding that one to the repertoire now. That's right, brown sugar, baby. Changes lives better than.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, indeed. So I just gave the world a short little introduction into the wonderful Ava, mind filling in the gaps where I may have missed some things. I probably missed a lot of things.
Well, do you know what? I'm really just an ordinary little girl from Jamaica, who I normally really do say shouldn't have been having this conversation, purely because of where I'm from and the kind of background that I grew up into. I did a post today on social media that was talking about being shortchanged. I'm the girl who society would say was shortchanged, who didn't, I've never played with a doll. I was thinking about it this morning and I got a little bit tearful. I realized only today that I've never played with a doll. And that was such a moment for me because I was so busy trying to survive. I call it being thrival because I grew up in a really poor family and we were extremely disadvantaged. And so rather than playing with dolls and going to school, I was busy selling mangoes to help my family survive. So I'm really fortunate and blessed and favored to be here and to be able to have such conversations because I'm the girl who's an anomaly and I'm the girl who shouldn't have been. That's what I'll say for now. I'm sure as we dive deeper into the conversation, a lot more of who I am will come into light.
Yes, ma'am, indeed. Because I mean, it's really tough. Being a young girl and never playing with a doll at all. I mean, that's like toy number one you get your child.
Yeah. We never had that. You see, we were more, I mean, the luxury of a doll in my time growing, we're talking about the 1976 growing up in Jamaica. My mom was busy trying to find food and the basic necessity to wash our clothing and, just to feed us. So a doll would have been a luxury. And I say to my kids every day that they are so blessed to have more than enough. But no, it is the first toy you give to a girl, possibly, but I was just not that girl.
Yeah, that's true indeed, especially with different countries. I mean, and when it's almost in the land of poverty and not in the land of abundance, and it can be just amazing when you actually look back and realize, wait a second, like especially in like the USA and currently where you are, we may have certain blessings and certain gifts that other countries and places do not have, and it was actually kind of crazy me to to assume that that is not the same for everybody. And it's great that you're able to transform that and to become the lady who you are today.
It's I until I no longer assume anything because everybody has different situation. And I because of where I've been, and I've been to some dark places in my life, because of where I've been, I no longer assume that everybody has. I have an event coming up next 2 weeks, and I said to somebody, and I caught myself saying it, and I had to stop myself. So it probably cost about $30 for the event, and I was saying to my girlfriend, like, come on, these people are not buying it and they can afford it, and she said, Ava, don't assume that $30 is affordable for everybody. And I had to stop myself because there was a time in my life when $30 would be impossible. And we're not talking about a very long time ago. We're talking about 3 years ago. I was living in London and my husband left and he walked out on the family. And I found myself at the place where I couldn't even buy milk because I was embroiled in a legal battle and I was paying all my money to court. So on to lawyers rather. So I understand and I no longer assume because Dom, you live in America where it's not the same for everybody, but there are lots of people in America because I have family there who I know are just putting up appearances and they live on credit. And so it doesn't mean that they can find $100, but they can have a nice car and a nice house. And I don't live in the spirit of assumption anymore because it's just not a very fair and a fair playing field for all.
Don't live in the spirit of assumption. Is that going to be a T-shirt down the road for you?
I don't know, but I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, because it's really true. I mean, I think it was a meme I saw on social media a while ago that says, "Don't compare your life to someone's chosen highlight reel." Because I mean, folks can front and floss and show the best of themselves, but at the same time, everybody's going through something. Everybody's struggling through something, and they probably really can't afford $30 because they are probably $1,000 over their credit limit.
Yeah, but I have clients. I have a client recently, and I had to send money to the client to pay for something. And when the client really expressed and became vulnerable with me, I really felt like, and it reinforces that point that we live in such a world. I mean, it's Mental Health Awareness Month here in the UK, and I'm very transparent in who I am and how I live my life, and to the point where I remember somebody who I was meant to date, he said, I can't be with you because your life is too open and transparent. But I think my transparency helps to heal other people. And we were talking about this on Facebook that part of the reason that more of us can't be transparent, Dom, is purely because of the judgment that people are going to have us in judgment and we're going to make up our faces and raise our eyebrows and frown our foreheads. And as a result of that, people start internalizing stuff, becoming much more careful. And so social media has created this amazing front for people to hide behind beautiful pictures and graphics and bury their sorrows. And it's good and it's bad because so many people are impacted by that. And so I really don't envy anybody because I don't know how they've gotten what they want to get and what they're going through to sustain what they have.
Yeah, it's true indeed. Because I mean, with the smartphone nowadays, equipped with everything and two kitchen sinks, it's really easy just to put up a front and to just make people feel depressed if they let themselves do that. So for those who may be going through that depression, and heck, I believe it's even in one of John Maxwell books where he calls it the comparison gap, where folks compare themselves to other people and then they go down that slippery slope of depression. Any advice for those who may be going through that comparison gap situation?
I would say stop. Like simple stop. You have to. I'm glad we're having this interview because I suppose in a way it's because of how I live and what I preach and what I practice. But yesterday I did a Facebook Live about you cannot activate your abundance until you are appreciating what you have in the now, right? And so if you're comparing yourself with somebody, so those who are listening, stop comparing people and what they've achieved to yourselves. We're all different. We have different DNA. We have a unique DNA, and our God's assignment is different, right? But also, until you can pause and acknowledge that which you have, your micro wins, the air you breathe, the house you live in, no matter how small it is, the car you drive, no matter what reg it is, until you can appreciate that there's food on the table and there's water to drink and there's light and there are friendships and family, the immediate things you have, the micro wins, you will never be able to activate the abundance. You won't be able to activate the things that you are envying others for, comparing yourself to. But more importantly, you have to understand that everybody makes different choices and you don't know what choices people make sometimes to acquire that which they have. So don't compare, don't envy, and be abundant in what you have.
But the truth of the matter is that we are never going to acquire and activate what they have unless we are able to pause and acknowledge what we have. And so I normally tell my clients when I work with them, especially my clients who are doing the personal development, part of what I do as a life coach, is that you have to pause and be thankful and grateful for the things that you now have, Dom, because when you can appreciate what you have in the now, then I believe, like the laws of the secret, you are then able to activate your true abundance. And so I'm really big on people pausing, appreciating and accepting where they are, what they have, and that's when the abundance will flow. But also, you don't know how other people get what they have. So my mom always tells me that she doesn't know to read and write even to today, but mom always tells me, don't envy anyone because you don't know how they acquired what they have.
Yeah, that's true indeed. You're right about that because they could be a drug pusher. They could have stole that stuff.
Yeah, they could have done a lot of things for what they have and how they've gotten it. And so for you to understand that, I've seen it in the UK very often that people have a lot, and the next thing you know, the police is knocking at the door, right? Or they're handcuffed and being pulled away. You think, ooh, but they've got the Range Rover. Ooh, but they've got the, G wagon. There's not a lot of G wagons in the UK, but the reality is that in that moment you think, wow, at least I'm free. I've got my freedom. I can get up and go to my bed if I want to. I can walk around. And I live by that simplicity of life. I don't envy anybody for what they have. I live within my own, abundant space, and I live and appreciate what I can afford, and what I can't afford, I do without. I'm really like that.
Amen indeed. So I love what you mentioned about the abundance mindset, and of course, with your tough upbringing, that probably led you to creating a stronger abundance mindset. So if you were to give like two quick tips on developing that abundance mindset, what would they be?
I would say you have to, first of all, pause and write down. Because sometimes we get so caught up in this quick, fast, and in a hurry world, this microwave world, I call it. And we sometimes forget what we actually have. So I practice gratitude every day. And I don't physically write it on all the time because my mind has been trained to it. But I'm thankful for at least 5 things every day. So I'm simply thankful for things like the ground that I stand on, right? I'm thankful for my kids. I'm thankful for the fact that technology has allowed this connection, even though we've had some pitfalls.
Yeah.
And I find the 5 things. So I said to people, find 5 things that you're thankful for every day. And then you'll start seeing how you start feeling better about yourself. And gradually, by recognizing those things you actually have, you realize that you start activating the others. The other thing I say to people is to affirm. Affirmation is amazing. It's, and how I affirm is I affirm into the future. So if I want to say that I am powerful because I want to become a stronger speaker, or People will listen to me. I am amazing. I'm great. Even if you don't feel it at the first couple of times that you say it, they say repetition makes learning easier. So if you keep doing that, I know that gradually it will become a part of your unconscious, your subconscious mind rather. And before you know it, you start getting up and getting dressed and think, oh, I'm really amazing. Oh, I'm gorgeous. Lord, I'm handsome. And before you know it, your whole mindset changes. And when your mindset shifts, your life has got no other choice but to shift. They say the universe responds to movement. And when you move, the universe will respond to you.
Amen, indeed. The universe responds to movement. I gotta admit, I kind of listen to the Shawn Michaels Sexy Boys song as my alarm clock.
I'm telling you, they're guilty.
That's right. It's like, yeah, I think I'm cute. I think I'm sexy. Oh, I got the looks. That drives the girls wild.
I can only imagine. With that voice, Dom. With that voice, I can only imagine, you know?
That's right. So set set some affirmations as your alarm clock. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, an affirmation as your alarm clock, I'm telling you.
Woo! So speaking of alarm clocks, I'm pretty sure there has been some books that have alarmed your mind to more greatness in addition to your life story, The Mango Girl. So any books that have really inspired you to keep pushing forward and creating the life that you have now?
Yeah, oh my God, there are quite a few books. So I didn't start reading until I was probably in my 20s. I read late. I was a late reader because I was catching up on going to school. But I've read a couple of books. There's a book that I've read is called Who Moved My Cheese? Do you know that book?
Great book.
Who Moved My Cheese? A great book. I have it in my library. That book really opened my eyes. And my book choices might be really interesting for people. So I did A Time to Kill, which was by John Grisham. Interesting book. I've done The People Factor by John Van Moody. An amazing book about relationships and how to cherish the ones that are good and how to exit the ones that are not so good for you. I did Simon Sinek Start With Why, which is really powerful because it helped me understand what am I doing and why am I doing it. I read Brene Brown, some of her amazing books around, gifts of imperfection. I read Lisa Nichols, just everything by her. I literally tapped into books around, how to start your business. So I did the $100 Startup by Chris Glehobi, and quite a number of books. But I think overall for me, the books that got me were Who Moved My Cheese, like really seriously, and Start With Why, because those are really, really, they touch somewhere in my space. And as I go on, I read a lot more in terms of personal development and business and stuff like that. At the moment, I'm reading one by Emotional Intelligence, which is really something that I'm really fascinated by because in the next 5 years, your CV must have emotional intelligence as something on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I can understand why, too, especially with nowadays where the depression rates are high, folks are losing their minds and trying to keep up with society. And not to mention, we're in the 21st century where emotions matter more than ever because intelligence is one thing, but if you can't communicate with others effectively, then you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, it's really important. And isn't it crazy how the world shifts, right? Because a few years ago, it was, you had to be able to use Microsoft tools. And do you remember that? Do you remember that era? That was the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's now become almost, old, and something else has come over. So you have to now be able to access the Wi-Fi code wherever you go. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs has changed tremendously. Having Wi-Fi is at the bottom, right?
You need to make that like a spoof pyramid.
Seriously, yeah, I'm telling you. Honestly. Really and truly, God knows. So seriously.
Yeah, because the zombie apocalypse is already here. Just give someone, just put someone in an area where there's no Wi-Fi, and with their smartphone, they'll be like, Wi-Fi, where is it? I need Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Yeah, like, hello, no, it's become a basic need. No, 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 it's not even a joke. Like, seriously, Wi-Fi has become my daughter, my son, my kids. When they will get to a restaurant, the first thing my 19-year-old does is to get her phone out and try to access the Wi-Fi code. First thing, before she's even looking at the menu, where's the Wi-Fi code, mommy? Isn't that crazy?
At least know where the exits are before the Wi-Fi, in case something stupid happens.
Yeah. But and so emotional intelligence and Wi-Fi are competing back to back right there, right? So let's see who's gonna win. Who's gonna win the war of the new pyramid? You know, the new hierarchy of needs.
Oh yes, that's right. The Illuminati pyramid, baby. Emotional intelligence versus Wi-Fi. Who's gonna win, baby? It's
I'm
gonna be.
telling you, who's gonna win?
Oh man.
Oh my God, this is so cray cray. Cray cray indeed.
But it's all good though. So if you could go back in time, but this time you're in the current year of 2018 with all of your acquired knowledge and Wi-Fi and all the technology available to you, what advice would you give to yourself if you could do all of it over again and go back like 3 years and be 25 with all your knowledge?
If I had to be 25 years again, I would have started my own business from then. I really believe that there is an agenda to keep people in job, just over broke, and to contain you. It's containment. And I really believe that. Look around you right now. I mean, how many people are freelancing and doing their own business? And it's such a different place from when I was 25 years old. Because when I was 25, everybody went to work. That was a 9 to 5, just over broke. But today, everybody can become their own boss. Governments don't like it that much, but the freedom and the flexibility and time and location freedom is just something to die for, especially for me as a single mother. So 25 years ago, if I was 25, I would have said to my younger self, start your own business. Trust your vision. Believe in yourself enough and step out of comfort zone. I wish I knew those things. I'd be a millionaire now. If I knew what I know now then, I would be a millionaire. I'm serious. Because all the tools I know now and all the things I understand about the mindset and how it works and go and get it and come out of comfort zone, man, we wouldn't be having this interview. I don't think so, because I would have been so guarded and nobody.
Have your own castle in the mountains with a moat, and you have to have a helicopter just to get to the door, huh?
I'm telling you, it is. And so I tell my children, so my son is going to be 7, and his first book has been illustrated as we speak. He's written and it's going to be published. My daughter's about to start her own business in a few weeks' time. She's packing her ideas. I'm pushing my children to become their own bosses.
Woohoo!
It's necessary. Especially when you're a black child, you need to do that. Like, seriously.
Darn straight. Like what you said, especially
Create
about trust your vision.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had trusted mine a longer time ago. But then the thing is, Dom, for you to trust your vision, you need your environment needs to be harnessing and nurturing that kind of thought process, right? I didn't have that environment. I was surviving, finding food to eat.
This is true. So for those who want to keep in touch with you and be updated about the book tour goodness, where can we get in contact with Miss Brown Sugar herself, Dr. Ava?
Well, the book tour link, I don't know if you're going to be sharing that on the podcast, and that I think I've sent that to you, but I'll send it again. But I'm on Facebook. I have a really amazing movement I've just started, which is called Sister Hold My Hand. And it's really about what I just said, helping sisters to push their visions with support and a place of authenticity, transparency, unmasking, and a place to heal. But I'm on Instagram as dr.ava.brown24. I'm on my website, which is avaeaglebrown.com. Or you can email me, and that's probably simpler. It's info at Ava Brown, that's Ava, A-V-A Brown.org. If you just Google me, you find me there. I really I'm there. I Google myself every month just to check out what people are saying about me. I'm not vain. Just want to make sure everything is kept in the neat.
There you go. That's important, actually.
You have to, yeah, because when you find yourself in the Financial Times like I have, and the Guardian, and you're in some of the best and the brightest press in the UK, and you find yourself in international press, you want to make sure that your name is. It's called due diligence. It's called compliance on yourself, and I do that. I don't wait for anybody to do it for me. I do it for myself.
There you go. That's that Home Depot swag, baby. Do it yourself.
Do it yourself, yeah. The DIY.
Woohoo! Well, it has been a pleasure, Dr. Brown. The Dawn Devil was trying to stop us, Lord. He was trying to stop us. But he can't stop us because we ain't never going to stop.
No, we're never.
That's right. We don't die. We multiply, bad boy, baby.
We do. So, yeah, I'm glad to have been here. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books. Be sure to check out the rest of the backlog too while you're at it and share all those too.